bullwhip.
A whipping? That's all they get after what they've done? Get out of there!
It was a matter of honor.
They're paying $1,000 to whatever kills the two boys that cut up Delilah.
In a time when lawmen were killers.
What are y'all looking at?
You English, Bob?
Outlaws were heroes.
Well, I thought that you were dead.
Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out it was just in Nebraska.
And a bad reputation.
You're the one who killed William Harvey and robbed that train over Missouri?
Was as good as gold.
My guess is you're calling yourself Mr. William Munny.
Say what?
You don't look no meaner than hell, cold-blooded damn killer.
I ain't like that anymore, kid.
$1,000 reward, Will.
Nobody's gonna come.
So you still have that Spencer rifle, huh?
Yeah.
He's my partner. He don't go, I don't go.
What's it come to 3 ways?
Just because we're going on this killing, that don't mean I'm gonna go back to being the way I was.
Are you really gonna kill them cowboys?
I do not like assassins. Or men of low character. We ain't bad men no more. We're farmers.
You're a lot of savages! A bunch of bloody savages! Assassin!
Well, I guess they have it coming.
We all have it coming, Captain.
Some legends will never be forgotten. Some wrongs can never be forgiven.
Any man don't want to get killed. Better clear on out the back.
Unforgiven.
Turn what down? Oh, my TV? Yes, sir. I can do that, sir.
Anyway, great start here, guys.
Over and over to cover his life. This only perplexed detectives and simply doesn't explain why Sam's been acting so strangely following Elaine's disappearance.
Alright, I think that's good. Well, hello everyone, this is Andreas Poke with you guys. Today, we're back again, me and Jeff, for another spectacular film review. Of course, this is Unforgiven, the 1992 classic, of course, produced and directed by Clint Eastwood, from the screenplay by David Webb Peoples. He was a well-known writer. He co-wrote Blade Runner, the 1982 classic, and then 12 Monkeys, the 1985, another classic, very well-regarded writer. And, of course, we got the amazing cast here. We got, of course, the late, great Gene Hackman here. We got Freeman, and then I was surprised to see this actor here, Richard Harris, is in this movie as well. This movie crossed over $159 billion on a budget of $14 billion. Received widespread critical acclaim. This was the biggest. This was the Oscar winner of 1992. It won 4 for Best Picture, Best Director for Eastwood, Best Supporting Actor for Hackman. This was the second win for his acting chops, which is great. And then the last win they got was Best Film Editing for Gold Cox. And and Eastwood was nominated for Academy Award for Best Actor, but he lost to Al Pacino, of course, for Scent of Woman. This was the same year in 1992. And if you missed the end credits, of course, Eastwood dedicated the film at end credits to his director's mentors, to the 2 legendary Western directors, Serge Leone and Don Siegel, great directors that done really great Western films. That's all I have here. And so shockingly, I think this is the last Western film that Clint Eastwood did play. After this, he has not gone back to the Western genre after he became more a director in the late 90s through the mid 2000s, and still I think continuing to direct now. But Jeff, how you doing, sir? How's everything?
Oh, I'm sorry about that, sir. I was ill prepared, sir, to come on the show. I did not prepare. I just came on like, cold, not even ready. So
no worries.
I'm somewhat situated now. So if my fucking cartilage piercing in my ear rubbing against my fucking headphone would stop like causing me to have piercing fucking pains, I'd be good.
Yeah.
Then I'd be really good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But for some goddamn reason, this pair of headphones or whatever rubs up against my fucking piercing in the top of my ear, in my cartilage.
Yeah.
And it hurts. Like, it really hurts.
No, I understand. Yeah, I had that one before with my other headphones. It was pretty annoying.
What are you talking about? You don't have a goddamn cartilage piercing, do you? I've never seen you with an earring.
I mean, the headphones rubbing our ears and all that. But no, my other self in another timeline has.
You would never be able to tell from seeing me with headphones on almost every time you see me. You would never know that I have earrings or that I have piercings. You never have any idea, but I do.
No. I mean, I should check your pictures in Facebook, sir. I think I saw one time.
On my pictures you can see that I have you can't miss it. I have one of those big, top ear, cartilage piercings or whatever, that women usually get.
Yeah.
Men rarely get them. You always see guys occasionally that have them.
Yeah. No. It's a rare thing.
That's all I wear. I don't wear my lower ones. I just wear the top one. I don't like to wear all of them together. It's too much for me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Some guys do that. They like to wear all of them. They'll wear all three.
Yeah, they do. I always.
I don't like it. It's too much.
Yeah, I feel it's too excessive. For me. Like, I think just one works. Yeah.
It's like women. It's like women that have nose piercings. Like that look really good. Like they don't need anything else. Like they can wear regular earrings too, you know what I'm saying? But like they don't need a bunch of piercings beyond that nose piercing. You know what I mean? Like that's good enough, It looks good enough. And like, you almost kind of take away from it if you go over the top. You know what I'm saying? And you start adding more shit to your face, You know what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Some people get obsessed with that shit, and like honestly, the whole multi-piercing shit or whatever, the face or whatever type stuff, it's not attractive.
No, I'm amazed they never get hurt. I mean, like even taking it out, it's gonna be hard.
I've met women before in my life, like where like younger women and women, were like, I honestly like internally wanted to tell them, like, hey, honestly, you would be so attractive to me. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd be so cute if you did not have all those fucking facial piercings you have or whatever, or you didn't have that like one weird fucking like, awkward spot facial piercing or whatever that you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
That shit detracts, man, from a just look her face, dude, when they have one of those crazy piercings, man.
Yeah, in the lip, like that is so weird.
Or the face, like on the cheek or fucking, one of them crazy ones,
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know how they do it. I just like that's crazy. You want to do it in your face?
There's a lot of fucking places you can pierce on your face now.
Really?
In your mouth, and everything. There's a lot. Yeah.
Crazy. That's a weird trend. Yeah. Like something with like like tattoos. Like it's crazy how those people do tattoos.
What do you think about the chicks that get the piercing where they get the hoop under on the bottom part of the nose, on the bottom part of the nostril, where the ring's on the bottom?
Yeah, see, that's fine. Like that's normal. Like if it's not,
that's actually kind of a newer kind of thing. That concept, you know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't actually a thing you used to see very much back in the day. No one had that.
No, it's just more recently. I like that.
Yeah.
It's not annoying. It's more like it's it's attracting.
It's becoming more popular now.
Yeah, I think artists have done that. That's the thing. Like some of the like seniors, those like pop artists.
Yeah, celebrities. Pop culture people, whatever, would not have them. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're popular. You see a lot of people like YouTubers, creators, influencers with them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, it became more popular.
A lot. I think especially for younger women, I think it's very popular.
Yeah, I think right. One of our friends, like Kendra, had one before, I think, or
Kendra. No, Kendra didn't have any facial piercings.
Or it could be someone else. Something.
That's one of those things you don't forget. Yeah. Even though I have not seen Kendra's face in like years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Kendra did not have any kind of nasal piercing, eyebrow, anything like that. Nothing.
Yeah, no. I just think of the hair.
In fact, honestly, I don't even think Kendra ever even really wore earrings, to be honest with you, in general.
No. I think it was something else. It was maybe another person we knew. It was.
I don't. I honestly, to tell you the truth, from what I remember from Kendra, I don't think she's the type that wears a lot of jewelry. You know what I'm saying?
No. I just knew glasses. That's it. I think that was it. And then the hair, those kind of dyes.
Oh yeah, Kendra's an attractive woman.
Yeah, exactly. But well, speaking of attractive women, we got this movie.
Imagine what Clint Eastwood would think of some bitch with some piercing in her face or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
He just like in this movie, he say, "Look, you're not ugly. I'm ugly." So I think that's how he's gonna do it. I don't know.
He probably spit chewing tobacco on the woman.
Yeah, and then drink like a little rum and like.
No, he just spit. Like it'd be like one of his Western movies. You know what I'm saying? It would just be silent, and then he would just launch spit on the bitch's face. He wouldn't say anything. There'd be no dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just deadly in silence.
Yeah,
classic Clint Eastwood.
Like Outlaw Josie Wales, dude. Just spit.
Yeah. Or High Plains Drifter.
I forget what that was. I used to know what that was that he used to chew in Outlaw Josie Wales. What it actually was that he used to chew and spit, but I can't remember now.
I think
it wasn't chewing tobacco.
No.
It was some kind of actual food type like product. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean. It has to be like seeds.
It was some kind of aged, you know what I'm saying, like type, food, type product.
Yeah.
It was not chewing tobacco, I don't believe. Yeah. Chewing tobacco was not invented back in like the Civil War, post-Civil War era.
Okay. No. I just checked right now. They say it is. He does chew and spit tobacco. That's like a thing they had. It doesn't show him any specific food. It's not like a specific food.
So they actually say it's tobacco?
Yeah, I'm checking in the Google and I read it. They're saying that that's what it is because that's the common thing in those like Western things.
I'm sure honestly, especially back in the South, back in the fucking day, you know what I'm saying? The hillbillies and shit. I'm sure they probably had their own version of chewing tobacco going on. You know what I'm saying?
True.
It was probably fucking gross.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like the worst fucking version of chewing tobacco you could even imagine. That's what they had.
Yeah. And I mean, I know it's different. Like baseball, they kind of chew that differently. I don't know. I don't know what kind of food
the motherfuckers were so much harder. The men were so much harder than we are now back in the day. Like back in the day. So like they were probably chewing tobacco that was made out of like tobacco. mud, and glue. Or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
And that was it. That was chewing tobacco.
Yeah. Now it's just bubble gum or some other soft thing. Yeah.
Dude, back in the day, fucking children used to work fucking like 16-hour shifts in factories and shit, and it was legal.
True. Yeah, it's legal. Yeah. I mean, we got away with so many things over the years.
For real, dude. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Hey, son, you're fucking like 8 years old. Yeah, hey, Charlie. Guess what? You're not going to do the Unforgiven movie review with Andre's Pop Culture Guy. You're going to the goddamn fucking textile factory.
Textile factory.
Toward 16-hour shifts, 5 days a week in fucking like horribly unsafe, dangerous work conditions.
Oh my God.
Where death is potentially around the corner at any given moment.
Yeah. I mean, if you work those factories, they were dangerous. I mean,
lots of children used to die. Lots of children used to die in the factories. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy that.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
Oh no, I don't want to think about it. I mean, it could have been brutal. I mean, and even sickness, like you're working in those like harsh conditions, and like in and out, and like you easily get cold, and those kind of disease and stuff.
It's just crazy to think about because like it's one thing if you're building the Empire State Building or some shit like that, or building some big canal or whatever, you know what I mean, or some shit like that, and and people die, you know what I mean, in the construction, that's normal, you know what I mean, some people die, but only a couple people or whatever. back in the day, like, you know, like way back in the day when, you know, industrialization, you know, started and all that shit, and factories first began, and there was child labor, there was a lot of death, like a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah, very interesting history. Yeah,
You know, like it was regular. People would just die. Kids would die.
Yeah, I mean,
you get caught in machinery, shit would fall on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen was it Christian Bell's Machinist? One of his workers got caught in the machine, and it's literally like that. It's like it's really rough. You do those kind of stuff.
Well, that's one of the cool things about Unforgiven and the Wild West is that like it was the last like, you know, remnants of an era in the U.S. where there was actual territories and states that were lawless almost, you know, and like, you know, murder and killing people and shit and whatnot was like, you know, something where it wasn't always a guarantee that you were going to get arrested or like punished for it, you know?
Yeah, right. This is set before like any like you know, the states were kind of like things. This was like before that. Yeah,
governments were small, you know.
Yeah,
you had a sheriff, you know what I'm saying, you know, and his deputies or whatever, you know, and a mayor, and that was it.
Yeah, and then and then that's how you were safe, at least from the small town. If not, you had to defend yourself. Like
that was the main government kind of in one of those towns in the West, you know.
Yeah, if every small towns, that was like literally just the government. You know, before we were like expanding and like we got the more.
Yeah, because there was no connection with the federal government or anything like that back then, really. You know.
No, because we didn't have that kind of money. You know?
No, there wasn't. No, we didn't have the technology. There was no, you know.
Yeah.
No communication. You know what I'm saying? You know, no way to, you know, to correspond back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, you know, with any actual decent time. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah. And resources, that's the thing, you know, we didn't like, well, I mean, we didn't have cars yet, but like we didn't have like other resources like gold and stuff like that.
Honestly, to tell you the truth, it's kind of like you know, like interesting to think about, you know, like what it must have been like. I don't mean to be so far off path, but honestly, like, you know, the Wild West, like, you know, like were you know, territories of the US that were still like unknown, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like unexplored and like, you know what I'm saying, at that, you know, at that point, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you know, like where you could just go and like, you know, go into like, you know, states like, and there was nobody, you know what I mean? You know, and Indians still and shit like that. It must have been fucking crazy, bro.
I mean, those people, I mean, again, everyone wanted to keep their territory safe, you know, and like away from the colonist people and all that. Because, I mean, at this point, right, like the British were like already in the land, right? At this time.
No, the British were gone, man. The Wild West? Nah, the British were only around like back when we had the independent, you know, when we had got independence, so we had the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That was way back. You know what I'm saying? That was like over 100 years plus from the Civil War era.
Yeah, so let me bring in some really interesting tips about 1880. So that's the year this movie is set, right? So major things that happen here for this is the mark of the start of the Guild Age in USA, where like the rapid industrial growth and social change happened. So like, you know, the Republican Party was formed here. Great. I mean, I don't know why. And then science and technology. This is where the electric light.
That's not true. The Republican Party was created before 1880.
Wait, let me check here. I'm looking.
That's not true.
Hold on.
Abraham Lincoln was a fucking Republican.
No, what? Get out of here. All right, hold on. Let me check here. So Republican Party, so Democrat were created in 1854. That's what they told me here in Wikipedia. If you want me to go this far. And
the Republican Party was, I don't know what year it was started, but it was not started in 1880. The Republican Party had existed and was around for a long time before that.
Yeah, I just see, because you brought up Lincoln. So yes, so it's before that. So
do you know who created the Republican Party?
I don't think so.
African American people. A lot of the folks that were responsible for creating the Republican Party were blacks.
Really? Oh my god.
Yeah, free blacks in the North.
Okay.
That were fighting against slavery. You know what I mean?
Okay, because
the Republican Party was created as an anti-slavery party. That was the mission of the Republican Party when it was created.
Okay.
Yeah. When Abraham Lincoln signed up to be a Republican or whatever, he was signed up to be the party of anti-slavery. Think about it,
No, that makes a lot of sense. If especially with Lincoln, yeah.
It was a radical concept back then to have a political party based on that mission.
Yep, and we don't have that anymore.
Very few people even know that's the factual reality of the Republican Party.
It's crazy. That is very interesting.
Somehow it became, the whole thing got distorted to where now the liberals and the media have convinced people that conservatives and Republicans are racists and the devil.
Yeah, the devil. Yeah, weird. I mean, I don't know.
In reality, it was the Republican Party that was the anti-slavery party. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
During the Civil War and everything, like that was the party.
Yeah, I mean,
the Democratic Party was the South.
Yeah, the South. Yeah. I mean, of course, everything changed.
And then it stayed like that for a long time. You know what I'm saying? The Democrats were in the South.
South, yeah.
Even when there was anti-black rules and shit, they still had white Southern Democrat politicians in the Southern states.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Republic's creation. It was in 1854 they were created. So yes, you're right. It was created before 1880. So yeah. My bad. So just let me.
Because it's famous. It's famously known that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. And the president at this moment was James A. Garfield, and science technology is interesting. This is interesting. This year, where electric lightning was discovered, of course, Thomas Edison discovered that, and then cash register became the first new thing of this year.
Wow.
So yeah, and then this one they have here a hydroelectric power, the first commercial hydro power plant in the world began generating electricity in Grand Michigan. So yeah, and then
that makes sense because they probably used one of the lakes.
Yeah, exactly, and we kind of see one in this movie, I think. And this is where we saw the westward expansion and settlement in the United States, with the homesteaders establishing farms, ranchers, driving cattle to booming rail.
Yep.
So go ahead.
Brave, fucking, courageous fucking people that wanted the best life possible. You know what I'm saying? And were willing to fucking risk their lives. You know what I mean? To travel. Dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Terrain, Indians. Whatever, to fucking stake their claim to land.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah,
and earn a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I'm shocked that Clint Eastwood's character was doing that. That's such a hard job. You see in the beginning of the film.
A pig farmer? That's a very hard job.
Yeah, because especially the pigs were sick. If they get sick, that will literally affect your economic money.
Oh yeah, I mean, jobs back then were fucking no joke, man. What are you talking? What are you kidding me? Come on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, I'm just joking about how soft we are now. I don't think we're really that soft. But half of the if we had to go back and work like they did, you know what I'm saying? We would not like it,
No. Yeah.
They just worked back then. In the Unforgiven time period, you just worked,
Yeah, just worked.
There was no schedule, you know what I'm saying? No TV, no.
Yeah, or nothing. 9 to 5. That was never.
Your kids worked just like in the movie, you know what I'm saying? The children worked too,
Yeah. And you saw his kids working as well in this movie.
It was a perfectly logical and understandable decision back then to take your kids and not send them to school and just have them work.
Yeah.
That was actually a completely, reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Different times, man.
Yep, different times. A long way we come from that time period. And let's get into this. If everyone doesn't know, Unforgiven, a great film. We were supposed to do this film as a MCU bleeding edge Friday movie review. We had some things it happened, so we were unable to do that. So I talked to Jeff about it, and
that's right.
Fucking
fucking guest dropped from for the fucking show last minute. God damn it!
Oh my god! Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I was like,
if I remember correctly, that's what happened. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because
I don't like doing movie reviews that much unless we have guests.
Yeah, or it's just the three of us. We're fine.
If it's just the three of us, yeah. But if it's just two people, I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it'll be too hard for us. And yeah, so I decided to do that.
I don't mind doing two people, duel, with you. You know what I'm saying? But that's a different situation.
Yeah, it's a different situation. I mean, it's over my channel. That's fine. Over there, it's like more fun to have more people to talk.
We're used to having other people on. You know what I mean? It becomes like a regular thing. You know what I mean? So when they're not there,
Yeah. But yeah, so I saw the film. Like I did rewatch it this week, and first time I saw it, I thought it was great. It was my first time watching this movie this year.
Wow,
so,
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because I mean, I like Clint Eastwood. We brought up his movies. I did see him.
I can't imagine seeing Unforgiven like not as a kid, but like seeing it as an adult. It's just that it's crazy. Yeah. I can't imagine how what that would be like. I'm just saying it's interesting. Like watching it. At your age, if I was myself, as opposed to like seeing it, in real time when it came out when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of
because the version of Unforgiven that's molded into my head and my brain, forever is that one from like seeing it when I was 12 or whatever,
I see.
That's how I think that's how most people are. That's how that's the image that you retain kind of a film.
That's true. But by the way, I knew this film before I saw it, the first time. I knew it was a big deal,
Oh, everybody knows Unforgiven. It won the
Oscar,
I know nobody cares about the Oscars anymore, but it won the Best Picture Oscar.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew this movie. It's just I never really had a chance to see it. And also, I mean, Eastwood has other great Western films.
It brought Clint Eastwood back at that point, if I remember correctly. He had kind of fallen off a little bit with his acting career.
Yeah, that's a good point.
His last couple of films at that point, he had kind of been,
kind of okay.
So. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his last.
It was the first real slide he never really had. You know what I'm saying? Where he was kind of fell off.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from because his last Derry Harry movie, Deadpool. If it's not Deadpool the movie, Marvel. But it's the fifth Derry Harry movie.
He had a period in the 80s, in the mid to late 80s into the 90s, where he didn't make a lot of films, and the ones he made didn't really do much.
Do much. Yeah, some of them were comedies, right?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, there were comedy, and then there were some that were
some of them were stuff that was spun off of the things he was doing in the 70s, the franchise type, films he was making,
Yeah. In the 80s, there were he had two Derry Harry movies. The fourth movie was Sudden Impact. That's one he did. Go Ahead and Make My Day. And then he did other things. This is where he started to do. Well, he did directly in the 70s. But yeah, what else? He did Hellrider.
I was really young at this point, so my understanding of where things were at with pop culture and movies and things like that is, isn't as extensive as maybe it could be. But from what I can remember, I think it was kind of out of nowhere that Unforgiven, came out of nowhere and won the Oscar,
Yeah, I mean, because at that point the Western genre was kind of down, right? We still
it was. Yes, it was. It was very much down. You're right. Yes, it was. Right? It was kind of falling off, and it wasn't really something. So it wasn't really an avenue people were going.
Yeah. Exactly, and
if you think about it, the 90s is not really a decade with a lot of Westerns.
No, there was just a few. Before this movie, 1990, we had Dances with Wolves, the Cam Costner movie.
In fact, there might be more Westerns in the 2000s than there are in the 90s.
Yeah, I think there were more.
Because they came back a couple times at different points, in the 2000s,
Yeah, there were a couple. I'm just trying to remember which one. I just know
They still make cowboy movies still to this day. They get made every once in a while for a couple of years. They just don't garner a lot of big publicity, you know?
Yeah, well, and just, I mean, remember, like, it was a very popular thing during the 50s and 60s, so, you know.
Oh, yeah, it was the genre, you know?
Yeah, it was the genre, and so, I mean, of course, we have less.
Everything was based off that genre. The TV shows were, you know, a lot of them were all based off the Wild Wild West, the movies, you know?
Yeah. What shows you saw? Did you saw, what was the one?
It was a big genre back then. When it
Yeah.
came in the entertainment industry, the Western, you know, period or whatever, you know, it was long and it was big.
Yeah, it was long and big. It was successful. I mean, and this is how
you had like shows like Bonanza and you know and shit like that.
Bonanza,
you know,
yeah, I remember that. I used
but there were more. There were a lot of popular Western TV shows. They're just old, so I can't remember their names.
Yeah, no. Same here. I just know that, and then there was like these other things. I'm pulling out the goddamn
TV shows based on you know, things like concepts like, you know, old time, you know, America, you know, or like, you know, you know, things like concepts like that worked a lot more back in the day, you know?
Yeah, Gunsmoke. That was the other show.
Gunsmoke, yep.
Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking about. That was like another Western, and then that was really it. I mean, there was other shows. I mean, there was a lot of shows they did, probably other Western shows, but yeah, those two were like the big popular ones.
The Western genre was big at one point to where like literally if you were like a known actor, you know, or whatever, you know, that had a name, like, you know, you made Westerns, you know?
Yeah, you make Westerns. Yeah. If you seen Once Upon in Hollywood, that's what happened with Leo's character there. Like he started to make those like, you know, Italian stuff there, you know, that was like Westerns as well. But yeah. So this movie definitely revitalized the Westerns. Like we got more, you know, good ones.
I don't know if it did, to be honest with you. I don't know if it really revitalized Westerns, you know what I'm saying? Because it came out of nowhere. And it was sort of like it was an independent kind of event, you know?
Yeah. I mean, well, it was a big deal, right? Like, I guess for this movie.
But it won other awards besides Best Picture. It did win more awards. I know that for a fact. It won other Oscars.
Yeah, behind like Dances with Wolves. Yeah, it was a big deal. So like the 90s.
I don't know if Clint won, or he got nominated, I think, for Best Director too.
He won Best Director. I mentioned that in the beginning. He won Best Director, and then Gene Hackman, late great Gene Hackman, R.I.P. He won for Best Supporting Actor for his role in this movie. And the only thing they lost was Best Actor for Clint Eastwood, because that was the same year as Cedarwood Woman. So Al Pacino got his first Oscar that year. So that's
well, you can't give somebody 4 Oscars anyways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad this movie won. I
don't think Clint Eastwood would deserve the Oscar anyway for his performance in the movie, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I gotta say,
he just gave a basic, you know, stereotypical Clint Eastwood acting performance. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything, you know.
No, like my favorites are like Gene Hackman or Morgan Freeman. Like those were my favorite performances in this movie. Yeah, like Clint Eastwood is like Clint Eastwood. Like, have you seen his other Western films?
I've never really thought of Clint Eastwood and his acting or him as an actor as being an Oscar, you know, worthy contending kind of actor. He's just not that kind of guy, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
he never really made those kind of films that were, you know, that won awards. You know, his movies that were popular in the 70s, 60s, 80s, you know, they weren't Oscar contending, you know, Golden Globe type films.
No. And the ones that got popular was like way later, you know. Like,
once he started directing, when he got older, then he started winning awards. Yeah.
Started winning awards, yeah. But yeah, I kind of agree with your point. Yeah, it didn't really revitalize the whole Western genre, but
no, it didn't.
It just showed like, okay, the genre
it just showed you could still do it. You could still make a really, you know, great, you know what I'm saying, you know, artistic, you know, like, you know, well done, you know what I'm saying, Western film that was set in the 90s, you know, that looked good, that looked shot in the 90s, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, I think it just more helped like Clint Eastwood to do more directing movies, right? Like this is where he started to direct more movies. He started to make less movies about him. Like I think he stopped quitting acting, right? Like, well,
the fact that it was a Western at that point, at that time, whatever year that was in the 90s, 97 or whatever it was, 96.
92.
92. Oh, my bad. 92. The fact that it was a Western, the film, you know what I'm saying, that was the genre, I think was surprising for the Academy. You know what I mean? And for like, you know, for the movie industry at that time, that a movie of that quality, you know, was a Western. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the reasons why maybe it probably did win Best Picture.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely Best Picture.
Because it did revitalize the Western genre, you know, in film. You know what I mean? You know?
No, I agree. Let me see what, like, we get to 1992 because, okay, so, like, the ones that was there, like, that year was A Feel Good Man, Howard's End, Son of a Woman, The Crying Game.
You know, I've never seen a Son of a Woman ever in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah, I've never watched it.
Oh my god, it's
nobody ever played it in my house when I was a kid, and it was never on any of my parents' VHS cassette tapes. You know what I'm saying? They never had it. So
yeah, I wonder why. Oh, okay, yeah.
I guess I didn't like it, so I never watched it.
Yeah, I seen the film, like bits of it, like, you know, the iconic one. Yeah.
By the time I was like a teenager, I saw it on HBO a couple times, or whatever. I just didn't feel like it was the kind of movie I really wanted to invest time into.
No, it's too long. That was my problem with the movie. It's a little too long, and it's just too like over the top, like Al Pacino.
Yes, the absolute type of movies that I hate. Those kind of movies. Yes,
yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it was gonna be your type, and it's not my type either. Like it just like I don't know why they're doing this. It was just like unlike Unforgiven, where I thought Unforgiven like was for me like more mature, like it had action, which is good, and yeah,
A Few Good Men was really good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I actually like that one. And then the other two are good movies too. It's just not our area to discuss. You know?
Oh yeah, I'm sure probably lots of good movies came out like 92.
Oh yeah, I mean, Batman Returns came out, The Bodyguard, Basic Instinct. We reviewed that movie, so
Basic Instinct's a classic.
Yeah, Wayne's World came out that year. That was great. Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's a really good fucking movie.
Yeah, we need to review that.
Very underrated. And yes, we do. I've had that thought before in the past. When it's been mentioned in conversation that we need to add that to the movie review list, but I just never did. You know, I will. Okay. I'll write it down. We need to do it.
Yeah, we need to do that because it's really
that movie is way underrated. Yes.
Yeah, and what else that came out?
It's so well cast.
Oh yeah, I mean Gary Oldman is amazing. He's so good.
They had like everybody in that movie.
Oh yeah, like Winona Ryder, our Baba Yaga,
Carrie Hughes was in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's in that too. Yeah.
Carrie Hughes, yeah.
And Richard E. Grant, the older actor that played Loki in episode 5, he's in this movie. I saw this movie with my mom, and I was like, oh yeah, he's in this movie, Richard E. Grant. And Anthony Hopkins as well, like he plays Van Helsing in this movie.
Oh yeah, he was great as Van Helsing.
Yeah, he's great. He was really funny. Monica Bellucci's in this movie too, so that's the prize.
You know who was really fucking good in that Dracula movie that came out last year?
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. What's his name that played the quirky professor guy in that movie?
Oh, hold on. I know who you're talking. I don't know his name. Nosferatu.
I stayed up all night the other night, so my memory is shot.
Yeah, it's been a couple months I've seen that movie with.
I know the goddamn guy's name. He's been in fucking so many fucking movies I've seen. He's so well known.
Yeah, I know.
He's in the John Wick movie.
John Wick movie. You mean William
Dafoe? He played the Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
William Dafoe. I know
William Dafoe. Yeah, he played the professor or whatever. In Nosferatu.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was really good.
He was outstanding.
Oh god, yeah, it was amazing. His speech, like towards the end, like
his accent and everything,
Yeah.
that he put together for his dialogue,
It's good. Yeah, he was the best part of that movie. That movie was really fun. Best part.
Just his whole disposition on screen was like awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and the Galactus, the new Galactus, for the new Fantastic Four, he's in that movie.
I never watch trailers when they come out. I always wait till like the last minute or whatever. So I still haven't seen the new Fantastic Four trailer.
Oh, I got that for towards the end of this review, for like trailer reaction. I also had the.
Oh yeah, with my ass talking like this, talking the way I'm talking tonight, we're certainly gonna have time for that, sir.
Yeah. Also, I know we don't do video games. I just want to give you a heads up, because there's a new James Bond game, so I'm gonna show that as well. Because it's James Bond. I like James Bond. Anyway. Okay, let's get into like
if we have time, sir. We still have to talk about Unforgiven.
Yeah, let's get into the recap, folks, and let me get my goddamn notes here. Sorry about that, pardon my French. Okay, so let's go to the beginning here. In 1880, in Big Whiskey, Rami. That's what you say. Just go with what I'm saying here. A cowboy named Quick Mike slashes a prostitute named Delia Fitzgerald's face with a knife, permanently disfiguring her after she laughs at his small penis, which is funny. As punishment, Sheriff Little Bill Daggett, of course played by the late great Gene Hackman, rest his soul, orders Mike and his associate who was with him.
I've been told and accused of having a small penis before by many women, and honestly, it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, why he was so hard on her? Like, they had to slash her, but whatever.
I've never really felt all that insulted or all that much when I've had women say that to me or whatever, or accuse me of that, so I don't really care. Yeah. I don't know why some guys get so upset.
I don't know. I mean, he just had a big ego, so I mean, whatever. He's gonna die.
It's like an eternal kind of concept that'll never die. Some guys just really fucking can't handle being told they have a small dick. They cannot handle it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something about it's just like the whole masculinity. Like, what's the word?
It's like a core masculinity principle, like your dick, being small. Yeah. It's like not, it's like, I
don't know why. I don't get that bothered with that, and this guy just had so much ego with that. So what is it with him at the brothel, right? David Bounty to turn over several of the ponies to Delia's employees, getting whatever for his loss of revenue, which that was funny. And outraged, the prostitutes offer 100 bounty for the cowboys' deaths, which the sheriff didn't like. So and then in Hodgman County, Kansas, a blissful young man visits Will Manny's hog farm. Everyone knows hog is just another word for pig, so just let you guys know. Of course, Will is played by Clint Eastwood. He's our main protagonist of the film. So he calls himself the Scottsville Kid. He claims to be an experienced bounty hunter looking for help to pursuing the cowboys that the prostitutes are doing the bounty, right? So he gets it. He wants to team up with Will because he's formerly a notorious outlaw / murderer. And Will is now a repentant murderer, raising the two kids we'll see in the scene. After initially refusing to help, Will realized that his farm is failing and his children's future is in jeopardy, which is true. And he recruits his friend Ned Logan, aka our god himself. Morgan Freeman is in this movie as his best friend, another retired outlaw, and they catch up with the kid who they discover is severely nearsighted. I mean, yeah, because when they were coming, they were shooting at him, and he didn't know they were coming, which is so stupid. And then we got the reveal he was blind. So he's just blind, if anyone wants to know. So let me stop there. What do you thought about the beginning here, Jeff? I thought it was really good. I mean, I agree. The guy is so stupid, like, getting criticized with his small, penis and all that. But I'm happy prostitutes are gonna get a bounty with these two cowboy staffs. So go ahead.
My glasses, this pair of glasses I have are crooked, and it is driving me fucking crazy.
I know.
I need a new pair. That pair, that pair right there is bent, and then my spare pair hurts my ear when I wear it.
Yeah,
I don't like wearing them. My spare or whatever.
No.
For whatever reason, when I bought them, they've always hurt my ear really bad whenever I wear them. I have to like mess with them every couple of minutes or whatever, to kind of pull them off my ear because they stick and they hurt. It's weird. Anyways, I mean, Unforgiven has like a really very like stereotypical, old fashioned Western introduction, You know what I'm saying? Like, which is not at all any sort of insult, to the film. It's just that's just, kind of the reality of it, it's typical Western, theme, where, the story just starts cold, you know what I mean? Somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Like there's not a lot of details with it, or a lot of information with the characters, you know what I'm saying? Things are kind of loose, you know what I mean? Like, and that's okay, like that's the deal. That's Westerns, the whole concept with the story of Clint Eastwood's character, starting off kind of, down as the pig farmer, being a widower, what with his wife dead, and gone, and raising his two kids, you know what I mean? It establishes a really good starting point for his character in the film, in terms of how he evolves across the span of Unforgiven towards the end, when he sort of, reveals his true self really kind of towards the end. I feel like the setting in the beginning, really sets up the film and, and the tone of the character, of William Munny, you know what I'm saying, and the movie, kind of in a way, you know what I mean? Just the way it's shot, the way it looks, the film is pretty consistent. The scenes, the backgrounds, the hills, the grass, you know what I mean? The woods, you know what I mean? The outdoors, you know what I'm saying? The Western, Wild West, time period houses, and like, and buildings, you know what I mean? And sort of things, you know what I'm saying? Unforgiven has that really pure Western vibe, in the film and very much from jump, the movie does a really good job of establishing, important characters initially right off the bat, and giving you just enough information about them, kind of right at face value, sort of, to be excited, to be enough in the audience for the whole film, kind of to just know that for the character, like you don't really need a lot more extra about Morgan Freeman's character, you know, or William Munny or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like the movie does a really good job of giving you an idea of who they are as people, as characters, but not saying a lot about them, or having a lot of dialogue, extra dialogue, you know what I mean? To fill in gaps, or explain the characters, you know what I'm saying? It's a very quiet, sort of film, especially in the beginning. There's not a lot of action or noise,
No.
It's very organic. All you really hear is like the background stuff, like the horses, the farm noises, like what I'm saying? Like, the birds,
Birds.
Yeah.
Very much like a Little House in a Prairie, like before we get into the more gritty, like Western settings.
Unforgiven doesn't have like a really hardcore, loud soundtrack at all. You know what I'm saying?
No. The music is very soft, which makes sense. I mean, it's not like a adventure cowboy movie like some of the other ones we have, like Tombstone. Like it came out a couple years after this, and that movie has a good soundtrack, and that's a hardcore score.
No, the music in Unforgiven really accompanies the tone of the film well.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with what you're saying, because I mean this first half is like a plot, like it's setting up the plot of what we're going to see in this movie.
It's establishing the plot essentially. Yes,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. As soon as we get into the horrors, and all that, you know what I mean, and that, we did already. It's an interesting premise, and they do a good job again of executing, getting it all out right off the bat, and establishing it, you know what I'm saying, in an entertaining way that looks cool, and is believable, you know what I mean, in terms of, the period piece of it, being that it's set in the old Wild West. It looks, organic, you know what I'm saying? For 1992, like, I don't believe they spared any expense really out with the budget on Unforgiven. I'm sure they spent money on it,
Yeah.
I don't think Westerns are that expensive to make, to tell you the truth.
No, I mean, it's a real expense in the movie. I mean,
all you're doing is shooting out in like open land. You know what I'm saying? Like, like a lot of times, you know what I mean? Like, in Westerns.
True. Yeah. Yeah, because some of them, I mean, you have to be James Cameron to spend money. Yeah, a lot of these like Western movies are always like, what do you call it? Like, very tight budgets. This movie only cost 14. I'm checking with Dances with Wolves. It only costs like 22.
Oh, well, that's logical because I mean, honestly, Western films have never been known really to go out in the movies and like break the box office. They're not that kind of film.
No, they're not like that kind of film. Yeah, yeah. So it was never like they were that expensive. And then Tombstone, it cost just 25 million. So that's not like. I mean, that's huge, but it's not like big.
When Tombstone came out in that year, I'm sure $25 million was probably a lot of money.
Yeah.
For a budget.
Actually, it came out the year after this movie, 1993. So my bad. It was the Quick and the Dead. I was thinking about, and that one cost 35 million. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, you're setting up your character.
That was probably all the actors they had to pay for that movie.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a huge cast for Tombstone. Yeah, Tombstone.
No, Quick and the Dead.
Oh no! You're right. Yeah, because Sharon Stone at that point was still popular, and
Sharon Stone was one of the highest paying actresses in Hollywood back then. At that point.
Yeah, and then Gene Hackman is in that movie. That's another Western movie I knew for him. Russell Crowe's in it. Leo's in it. Which is crazy. Lance Henriksen, Keith David, and Tobin Bell. I forgot he's in this movie. But anyway,
there's a lot of known actors in the Quick and the Dead. Not a very good movie. But they but they thought it was gonna be big when they made it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Sam Raimi directed it.
Oh yeah, it was a big spectacle Western. That's why it cost $35 million, not 25.
Yeah, crazy. That's crazy. And then let me bring the other ones like Legends of the Fall. That's another one that people probably know. And
that's not a Western.
Yeah, they list it here. Well, it's a Western / romance.
It's not set in the Wild West.
No, that's true. What year this? Yeah, it's set early, right? Yeah, 1914. So it's weird because some reason they say it's an American epic historical Western drama film.
The Legends of the Fall is set in a time period where there are still Indians and shit like that or whatever, because like Brad Pitt's character in the film marries an Indian girl, remember? Like has a girlfriend that's an Indian or whatever,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
I don't think it's a part of the country that was in the Wild West. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it's in something else. But yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, it's weird they placed it here. And then you got like Wild Wild West, and then Maverick, the Mel Gibson, and
Maverick was an okay film.
Yeah, I actually like that one. That was pretty good. I know that's a TV series, right? Like it was based on a TV show.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because again, a lot of Western shows, and that was one of them.
Wasn't Jodie Foster at Maverick?
Yes, She is. She plays the love interest for that.
Yeah, that's a good film.
Yeah, and the actor that played Maverick in TV show, he's in that movie too. And Dr. Octopus is in that movie, which is hilarious.
Mel Gibson. Say what you want about Mel Gibson, but he was good. He can act. He can pull off films like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's so good.
The humor and the action. You know what I'm saying? You know, he can do that.
Yeah. So it was so good. And then just wrapping up, I couldn't let this go. Was it Wyatt Earp? That's another Western movie.
Wyatt Earp came out the same year as Tombstone.
Yeah, that's true.
They competed against each other.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, weird. Yeah, same movie. Like it's funny. Gene Hackman was in it. Kevin Costner, and then Dennis Quaid's in it. He's good. And the guy.
Both films have a great cast.
Oh yeah, both great cast. But yeah, amazing cast. Yeah, that's how much are like right now. There's like other ones, like there's other movies that were different, like Sandras that were using like westerns, like The Mask of Sorrow is one of them. Antonio Banderas movies like Desperado, and like they were kind of westerns. And Back to the Future Part 3 was a western movie. City Slickers were in this. It was this time, and then so there's a lot of westerns.
City Slickers was those films were okay.
Did you
for what they were all right.
Yeah, you had to do the sequel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't really consider those Wild West films. You know what I'm saying? But like
it's weird. Yeah. They were like pretending, right? Because they were finding like gold, right? Treasures, and like I don't know.
That was when Billy Crystal was still was really popular still.
Yes, that's true. He was very funny. He's still funny.
Yeah, no, I love Billy Crystal, but he was really popular on that. He was hot.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a year after When Harry Met Sally, and all that. Okay, let's get back to the recap. So back in Big Whiskey, right? We got another major character, Richard Harris. Everyone knows Richard Harris is like a big British actor. He played the first two movies for the Harry Potter movies as Albus Dumbledore. And everyone knows his son. His son is in Mad Men. If you've seen Mad Men, Gerard Harris. He's a good actor. He's in the HBO show Chernobyl. So like he has done a really good job with his career. Anyway, so we see his character, British-born gunfighter English Bob, a old rival of Little Bill's, seeks the bounty, as the girls did, and he arrives in the town with his biographical W.W. Benchen or something like that. He naively believes Bob's told tales, enforcing the town's anti-gun law. Funny. Little Bill, with his deputies, disarms Bob and beats him savagely to discourage others from attempting to claim the bounty. Bob, humiliated, is banished from the town the next morning, but his biographical person stays out of fascination with the service, so he stays with him. Who debunks many of the romantic notions about the Wild West, because the Wild West is not like what people think of. So very interesting he said that. And Little Bill explains to him that the best attribute for a gunslinger is to be cool-headed under fire rather than to have the quickest draw, and to always kill the best shooter first. Okay, interesting. And then after that, we go back to Will, Ned, and the kid riding in town during the rainstorm, and enter Skinny's saloon. That's the brothel. And while Ned and the kid meet with the prostitutes upstairs, Little Bill confronts the furious Will, not realizing Will's identity, but correctly guessing that he wants the bounty. Bill, as he confiscates his pistols, beats him. Ned and Kid escape through the back window and take Will to a unspecified barn outside the town, where they and the prostitutes nurse him back to health. And a few days later, the trio ambush Davy. After missing Davy and shooting his horse, Ned falters. Will shoots Davy instead. Ned decides to quit and return to Kansas. Let me stop there. I think this actually is my favorite part. You know, it was funny to see Richard Harris here, the English-born gunfighter, trying to get the bounty, and then seeing Bill like beat him up like badly in the town to like send a message to him. That was really great. And then of course the guys arriving in town, poor Will getting like sick, and then them going on to the bounty was really good during this section. What do you thought about this section, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, what you went all the way out to where they killed that first cowboy, right?
Yeah, the first cowboy.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that I thought Clint Eastwood did do a good job pulling off being sick in the film. You know, they did a good job making him look sick. He looked very sick. You know, of course it's dark in the bar. You know what I'm saying? You know, and everything. You know what I mean? You know, but still, they do a good job making him look, you know, like he's sweating. You know, and like, you know, and he's like hunched over, kind of. You know what I mean? You know, as crazy as it is, you know, back in the day in 1880 and shit like that, you know, motherfuckers would just get sick like that, you know, like that was a reality. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you're just out there, like in the Wild West, like, you know, riding horses and shit like that, you know, and fucking, you know what I'm saying? Sleeping on the ground at night and shit like that, you know, like in the elements and shit like that, you know, like, I mean, you're going to, you know, motherfuckers are going to get like, you know, really sick at times, you know? I don't know what he actually had in the film, like what was wrong with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it was some sort of like, you know, really bad cold, flu, you know, fucking kind of deal. You know what I mean? You know, because it took a lot out of him, you know? You know, it's a good part of the film, like when he's sick, because the shit he says, like all the crazy shit he's saying, you know, like, you know, I saw Earl's fucking skull and it had worms in the eye or whatever the fuck, you know, he's telling Morgan Freeman or whatever, you know, like that crazy, he's saying crazy shit like that, you know, like, that's good, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's very believable, you know, in the film, you know, that like, you know, that in real life, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some motherfucker could be sick like that in the Wild West and like, you know, be talking like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like being, you know, being delirious, you know what I mean? You know? It's dark, man. You know what I'm saying? Like when he's saying that shit, it's dark, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's a very dark, like, you know, kind of deal. Like, you know, like the timing and the tone of like, you know, of the scenes when he's talking like that, you know? It's like really fucking dark and grim, you know?
Yeah, well, and it's not like your typical Western.
He's like, I saw my wife in the grave and she had worms in her skull or some shit, you know?
Yeah, really nightmare. Nightmare material. Oh, question.
He's like, you know, he's like in a way, he's like he's suffering for his past sins. You know, as a killer, you know what I'm saying? You know, he's being haunted, you know, by like, you know, by his past actions. You know what I'm saying? And I think partially that's the point of it in the film.
Oh yeah, because
you know,
that's the point. Because he say that I'm doing it to like help my family in the future, but this is really the only time I'm gonna do it again. So like it's perfectly understandable and logical that somebody would be haunted from like killing old people and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know, if you were like a Wild West, you know, type of like, you know, outlaw killer type motherfucker, they did crazy evil shit, like, you know, kill fucking, you know, Indian women and children and babies and shit, and you know what I'm saying? You know, like it was whatever, you know? Yeah. No, it was like it was a lot darker at the time we should know about. Yeah.
That's what Unforgiven does such a great job of doing is, you know, it never again gives you a lot of detail or tells you the whole picture of the of Clint Eastwood's character's past. There's no flashbacks. You know what I'm saying? Westerns never have flashbacks either way, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's just not a genre that works where they work. You know what I mean? Like, but no,
well,
they leave a lot open in Unforgiven. You know what I mean? For you to decide on your own about the story, the characters, whatever. You know what I mean? A lot of it is up to you to kind of decide. They make it clear by conversation, by dialogue from different characters or whatever that Will Munny or whatever, Clint Eastwood's character has potentially done some really brutal, savage, murderous shit before in the past. You know what I'm saying? You know, like they hint that he has done that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they never really like actually, tell you, or give you, the actual facts on it. You know what I'm saying? You're never told how many folks he killed, or you know what I'm saying, the story of his murderous outlaw days or anything like that. None of it's ever given to you, and it makes Clint Eastwood's character, I think, more interesting in a way, and mysterious, kind of,
more real. And I was saying before, it's not like his other roles in the Western films that he's done, so this is very different from those, right? So
he's very closed off as a character in the movie. He's not really super vocal, not very friendly,
very distrusting with the kid, that wants the bounty.
He's not going out of his way to like seek friendship or conversation or even other people. He lives in a fucking pig farm with his kids alone, So obviously he does not give a fuck about like, any of the, aspects of like town life or anything like that. None of that matters to him. You know what I mean?
No. And the only person he really cares is really Ned. Morgan Freeman's character. That's like the only person he likes, more like friendly. But
that's all he has left. Now that his wife is gone, it's just all he has is Ned.
Yeah, exactly.
Ned knew his wife.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's how long he's known Ned. You know what I'm saying? That's great detail that they give us stuff like that. That they add that wrinkle. You know what I mean? That Ned knew, Clint Eastwood's character's wife when she was alive. You know what I'm saying? It makes you think, on your own. Like, it makes you think in your head, like, about it. You know what I mean? Gene Hackman's character is really great in the film. Having him beat the fuck out of English Jack or whatever, it services his character in the film well, having him do that, I don't know if it's if I think it's like the best, most entertaining element of the film. You know what I mean? It's just kind of there.
No, I mean, it's it's like his best performance, but it's like, it's not entertaining. I just thought his character was interesting, as a villain,
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, it does add to Gene Hackman's character in the film in terms of his violence, and his anger and sort of lawlessness about him, even though he's a sheriff. You know what I mean? That he's a very corrupt, kind of dirty, type of motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And that, that gives you a good example of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get the writer, that's fouling English mob or whatever, he's a nice additional character that they throw into the film. You know what I mean? Some other directors or or writers or creators might not care to have a character like that in a film. You know what I'm saying? But they added a character like that to Unforgiven, and it's good. It's a good element. It's a nice piece. It adds like a nice little layer, or buffer in a way, kind of. You know what I mean? In some scenes in the film, having him there.
That's a little humor too, for the like. Lead.
Yeah. It just adds a different element to the movie. Having him there, sharing screen time with Gene Hackman and and all that. You know what I mean? He does. He's a good chemistry addition, sort of, in the film. While at the same time, they don't tell you much about him, like all the characters, you don't know a lot about him, he never really talks about himself, you know what I mean? Just he's a writer,
Yeah. He's just there to like rate this guy's biography or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is cool. It's a cool concept because, back in the day, in the Wild Wild West, in that time period, if you were a writer, like that, that was how, that was not the only way you could go out there and do it and make it, as a writer, but that was one way that you could become a successful, writer or whatever, was to actually just go out there in the real world, and follow people and follow shit and like write about it,
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, this was a good depiction of how like writers work at that time.
Oh, it was such a different time period back then. You know what I mean? Writing the whole books and all that was totally different. So a concept like that would seem so stupid now in 2025, but back then that was actually a regular thing, or a normal concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. So question before we move, so when he got sick, right? His friend Ned, played by Morgan Freeman, tell him to drink up the the alcohol, right?
Liquor, yeah,
liquor,
the whiskey or whatever, yeah,
whiskey, whatever, right?
Yeah, because certain illnesses, like certain serious, flu, airborne, type of illnesses or whatever, back in the day, drinking liquor, kind of like, helps a little bit. You know what I mean? It kind of breaks your fever a little bit,
Oh, really? Okay. Because I was like, why he's asking? Because he was telling the kid to drink, right? To drink
that's a Western, Wild West, standard from film or whatever, is the whole concept of like somebody's sick, you give whiskey,
Yeah, whiskey. Yeah, that's true. Because like I think I need to see that. Like I seen like the Man with No Name trilogy. For few dollars. The good, bad, and ugly. I never saw like that type of.
Medicine was in such a different place back then in 1880. So things that you would never think about, would be a remedy, like a medicinal remedy. Were actual medicine remedies back then. So back then, it was a legitimate, concept to just drink fucking liquor if you were sick,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That was actually considered a positive, thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew medicine was like very different.
Something about drinking whiskey. Drinking liquor when you're really sick like that, when you're sweaty and you got you have like a flu, cold, whatever, something about drinking the liquor, helps you, break the sweating, or like ease the pain or whatever, from the sickness.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and especially his condition, they were under the rain, so it made a lot of sense to like drink it up.
Yeah. I think he basically just got sick because of the elements. He got cold or whatever, and he picked up a typical, seasonal, virus type thing, but bad, One thing I will say too is they do a good job with the whores, and the whorehouse scenes and all that part of the film, I haven't mentioned them at all, but they're a great, addition to the film, the whores.
Yeah. No. They're very great characters. I mean, they're the reason that we were like in the plot, and they did a really good job of protecting the guys from Bill and the other sheriffs in the town. So yeah,
they portray to some degree, I believe, what prostitution in the Wild Wild West probably somewhat was like. It's done very authentically. The whore, their whole being whores,
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, because other movies, I mean, other movies didn't like portray it like realistically. Sometimes it depends. It really depends on the kind of movie you were making at that time. So yeah, this one was more realistic, right? Because this is like the most realistic Western film, right? Like out of the bunch we've seen in our lives. I mean, I have to say because it's very different.
It's one of the. It's probably one of the more adult, darker. You know, if you want, you can almost kind of say graphic if you want. You know what I mean? You know, sort of style of a Western that they're really, you know, had been done at that point, you know? Westerns never really took it to that level.
Yeah, well, there's some they did. I will say that. There's a couple, but, like, yeah, not as often like this or...
Unforgiven is a dark-toned film. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, it's a very, you know, depressing, bleak, you know, like, story, like, you know, like, movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. You
know, so I mean, you know, it's just a very different kind of Western.
Yeah, very different. I mean, yeah, it's not that like it's not that kind of gun like shoot 'em up kind of Western film. It's very different. Like it's much more like more of the, you know, like thoughtful kind of Western film.
It's just it's a character piece. It's centered on characters. It's, you know, set in a time period. You know, over the course of a span of time. You know, where there's a goal, you know, the whore that gets cut up, you know, and that's the job, you know, and that's the movie.
No, I agree.
That's all you need with a Western, you know, like, is a simple story like that.
Yeah, no, and that's true. I mean, I don't need these like Western movies to be like spectacular or like over the top, like the Lone Ranger. Like it's always best to have these Western.
Oh yeah, and it all seems very authentic. You know, it seems very real that like back in the day, 1880, whores could come together and pool their money, you know, and put out a prize, you know, to, you know, on a guy's head if they wanted to. You know, this is the Wild West. You know, like, so fucking, you know, that sounds like something they could do.
Yeah, which is true. I mean, they had the money, so.
Yeah, back in the Wild West, like putting bounties on people's heads and shit like that or whatever was a normal thing.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, this was nothing new. It was just like in that town that they were in, that got, you know, Bill was not the kind of person that would allow that in his territory, you know? That made a lot of sense.
Everything was so much different back then, you know? Like, I mean, the country was so big, you know what I'm saying? You know, and like so empty, and the governments were so small, you know? And like, you know, there was no big federal or state governments at that time. So like, you know, if you like murdered somebody or committed murder or a big crime or whatever in one state, if you just left that state and went to a different state, you were safe. You were home free. You know, nobody was going to chase you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Yeah. No, that's true.
You could just move from state to state back then. True. And kill people, murder people.
Yeah, because there was no law really anywhere. It was just like either one town will have it.
There was law, but it was so small. You know, they only had so much they could really do. You know.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Very different time. Yeah, like just, you know, everything was like so freely to do whatever you want. Really, you know.
There were only certain people that actually like, you know, that actually made a living. You know, chasing criminals. You know. Interstate, you know, criminals, you know what I mean? You know, bounty hunters and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is very true.
They were out there, you know?
Yeah, they were out there, but like it was more like it was you or them, you know? Yeah.
No, you had bounty hunters, there were federal marshals.
What else?
The Pinkertons. Remember there were the Pinkertons?
Yeah, that, and then there was something else. I mean, yeah, I think that was it, right?
There were people that would go out and chase you if you were like a bad person or a criminal or whatever. There were folks that would come get you.
Yeah, sure. You know, it happened. Like, no, definitely. Okay, let's get back to the recap. So like, speaking of this, like, so like after they killed the first person, they captured for the bounty, Ned leaves to, you know, to
it's a really well done death. How the way they handled death in Unforgiven is really, really cool.
Yes, that's true. And this death I did not like.
They make it very sad, very real, very human. You know, nobody wins. You know what I mean? You know, it just ends up being sad.
Yeah, very sad. So like Ned is later captured, and he's like, was it flogged to death by Little Bill, which was really sad to learn like the whereabouts of Will and the kid. So Will takes the kid with him to the Cowboys ranch where they were directing him to ambush Quick Mike in the outhouse, and they shoot him. Well, the kids shoot him in his bathroom, basically, after they escape because the soft kid drunkenly confesses that he had never killed anyone. I kind of knew that. Like, I don't think the kid would ever kill at all anyone during the beginning because I mean, even Morgan Freeman's character kind of knew that. So yeah, before he is overcome with remorse, you know, the nice lady.
Even back in the day, 1880, I don't think it was a good idea to tell people that you kill people. You know?
No, there was few movies where it's like, don't tell them you did that.
I don't think actual killers in the Wild Wild West went around and publicly told people that they killed people.
No. Yeah. He was a very naive kid. Like this was his first time killing someone, and like he just did that to like impress the guy.
Yeah, he wasn't an outlaw. He wasn't like Billy the Kid or some shit like that.
No, he wasn't Billy the Kid. Yeah, so like I knew he wasn't that kind of person. So like, you know, one of the prostitutes arrives with the award that tells them about Ned's fate, and so shocked by the news, Will begins drinking again and demands the kid's revolver, and the kids hand it over, saying that he's no longer wants to be a killer. Obviously, and Will sent him back to Kansas to distribute the award to the wife. So that happens. Let me start. We talk about Ned's death. I thought the death was really handled well, very sad, and yeah, we thought about the kid not like confessing that he didn't kill anyone, which kind of makes sense, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious the whole right from the beginning of the movie that the kid has never killed anybody. You know, that's kind of like it's like an inside joke, of the film from Jump. You know what I mean? He's obviously naive and opportunistic. You know what I'm saying? And just lucked out on getting that on getting the job. That's why he went out and found hired, experienced killers. You know what I'm saying? To actually do the job. You know what I mean? Hey, that was back in the day that people you had to make $1. So you motherfuckers would hustle. You know what I mean? If you had a job, and you needed to, get a couple motherfuckers to actually do it just so you could make money off of it, you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, they handle the deaths, the kills of the cowboys well in the film.
Yeah.
They're very real life, in terms of how significant death is. You know what I mean? And the reactions of friends and people around them when people are dying. You know what I mean? How it's just very, very sad, depressing. Pitiful. You know what I mean? Give them some goddamn water. God damn it. You know what I'm saying? That kind of, interaction. You know what I mean? Because even the killers, feel bad and they're sad after they shoot that cowboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's crying for water and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's sad, bro. Unforgiven doesn't really, have a lot of action in it. It's not a really action-packed Western.
No.
The movie really picks its spots, for action, for gunplay, and it's very limited, You
could say when the kid killed the second and last, bounty, like that was kind of your action scene. But yeah, the rest is kind of like slow, gun shoot. Really, that's it.
Yeah, and with the kid, what they're showing, obviously, I'm sure you already figured it out, is backpacking off that same trend with Will's character. The kid, what they're demonstrating with the kid is him living with the reality of having killed people after he goes out and shoots the cowboys.
Yeah.
He's changed. He's different. You know what I'm saying? Now that he's actually, done it, now that he's actually accomplished his goal and killed people, and it's not going to be good. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's not going to lead to anything positive for him down the road in the future, mentally or, whatever.
Or psychologically.
No, you know what I mean? You know, like his big goal, like, you know, his big accomplishment, you know what I'm saying? You know, what he thought was the pinnacle, you know what I'm saying, of like being, you know, a real man, a cowboy or whatever, you know, ended up being something that he's wishes that he didn't do. You know what I mean? You know? So the movie does a really good job of giving you the impression that he'll probably never kill anybody ever again, you know, after that. You know what I mean? You know, because they really make you, they make it clear, they make you feel the toll it takes when you take life in this film. You know, there's actual stakes and, like, you know, loss, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and you see, like, not everyone is made for being like an outlaw. You know, that's another thing that we have to like discuss. This is like the kid was not ready to be this murder, you know, outlaw like Will or Ned. You know, because those two have experience doing.
They make it they very humanly handle the violent deaths and everything. You know, it's very it's violent, it's Western. You know, the deaths, the shooting and whatnot, but yet it's handled in a way where you feel bad almost. You know, for the people that get killed. You know what I mean in the movie. You know, because it's sad. They show it in a very real, you know, like realistic, you know, way.
Realistic way, yeah. I was shocked that, you know, we saw that scene with the first kid where he got shot and then you know, was it Clint say give him water? I was surprised we did that. Like we never saw that.
I'm not surprised by that. Honestly, to tell you the truth, that seems like something that would honestly normally happen probably back then. You know,
back then,
that seems exactly like how people would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know.
And same thing with the second to last.
You think about it, the whole concept of morals and rules, you know, public rules, societal rules, all that was totally different back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know how people, you know, felt towards other people in certain situations. You know what I mean? You know, totally different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree. And I guess like moving on to this, you know, when Ned finds you know, Ned's corpse displayed in the coffin outside the like the brothel, you know, that really pisses him off. And so he goes inside where Little Bill and his deputies are organizing a pose, I guess, or like, you know, mobilizing how to take down Will and the kid. Will walks in alone, brandishing a shotgun. He kills Skinny for displaying Ned's corpse, and then he aims at Little Bill, but the shotgun misfires, and then a sure gunfight happens. Very, you know, skitty, like Western kind of vibes to it, you know, like the man with no name, but much more realistic and dark. And then Will shoots Little Bill and several other members of the, you know, the deputy sheriff department with the Marvel. Oh my god, I can't say that. And then he orders the rest of the men out. And then the guy that is the writer lingers briefly to ask how Will survived, and Will replies that it was luck and scares him away. Little Bill tries and fails to take another shot at Will while laying on the floor. Then he accepts his fate and curses Will, who shoots him dead. Will shouts and threats as he mounts his horse and rides out of town. And then that's how the movie ends. And we get a close title card that kind of forms what happened to Will. That Will's mother-in-law found his farm abandoned years later. Will having possible moved to San Francisco, of all town, with the children, and she remained at loss to understand why her daughter married such a notorious outlaw / murderer. And then we cut to black, and then we see like the tribute to the two big Western directors that did that helped Eastwood's career to popularity back in the 60s. Sergio Leone and Don Siegel. Don Siegel did the first Dirty Harry movie, and, you know, obviously Leone did the Man with No Name trilogy. So yeah, so that's it. We thought about it.
And that's right. And Clint was an untested director, like not a established, you know, known commodity director at this point of Unforgiven.
No, that is true. That's a good point. And you brought up, you know, this was his huge comeback. I was checking in trivia. This was a huge comeback for him after multiple failures from his work. You know, name a few, like just, oh my god.
I knew I was right. For whatever reason, I remembered from something I saw on TV or whatever that he did have a lull there for a while.
Yeah, so like his 3 pictures were White Hunter, Black
If you just think back, I know that I'm older than you, but if you just think back to back in the day, like and use your mental image of like the movies that came out in the 80s and 90s, there weren't any like known or like really good Clint Eastwood movies at all in the late 80s and all and early 90s until Unforgiven came out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, the other movie I saw was The Rookie. That was like the Charlie Sheen one, and Pink Cadillac. So all those were box office disappointments. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
For some reason at that point where things were at with the movie industry and films and all that and whatnot, the sort of characters that he was good at playing and was known for weren't working anymore. Like they weren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, no, it wasn't working.
The industry had changed, the culture had changed of the films and the stories. You know what I'm saying? So I think Unforgiven sort of revitalized his career in terms of like showing that he still had that ability. To be in a high quality film again.
No, I see where you're coming. Yeah, and then after this, he started to be a more like popular ones. Like the next year, he's in the Line of Fire.
Everything is all gold for him in the 90s after Unforgiven, bro.
Yeah, after Unforgiven, like in the Line of Fire.
His acting career came back. You know what I'm saying? He started leading. He started being the lead actor in a film every year for a couple of years there.
Yeah, and directing. Like he had that, so that was good too.
He didn't direct a lot. I don't think in the 90s really at that point. He did more directing in the 2000s.
No, I think so. I think you're right with
that. He was still just acting in the 90s at times.
Yeah, and so 90s he did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6,
he was popular
7,
after Unforgiven.
8. Yeah, he did 8 films, and then he did more in the mid 2000s and 2010s. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he got a comeback. He did. He became very popular after Unforgiven as a leading man.
Yeah. No, I agree. Great film. I loved it. I was very happy I saw it again.
Oh, yeah. Unforgiven is a great film.
Yeah, great film. I'm very happy we discussed this because I felt really bad that we didn't review it because it was so good when I saw it in the night, I think the day before. And I was like, oh, my God, this is really good.
I always feel bad about not doing a show or missing a movie or missing whatever, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's not, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I was fine with not reviewing certain things like Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Oh my God, that was like, oh my God, that was too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is. I take this stuff seriously. You know what I'm saying? But like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna like beat myself to death because I fell asleep and slept through an Andor recap. You know what I mean? I felt weird about it at first, but like now that some time has passed. Whatever about it, we'll make it up. We'll do it next Friday, a double episode review. You know what I mean? No big deal,
Speaking of the new Andor episode we were supposed to do, it was a good episode. It's not as good as
I never watched it.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, as always, Andor is great.
Because I fell asleep, I never watched the show. I never watched the episode because I watched it right before the show. Yeah, so I never watched it. I still gotta watch it.
Yeah, I had to bench watch like was it 9 and 10 because I didn't see 9 last week. So I had to see that.
I've got to watch 10 and 11 for next Friday because we're doing 10 and 11 to make up 10.
Yeah, I had to.
And those are big episodes. They're the last 3 episodes of Andor.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Actually, that's gonna be really.
I'm sure they're great episodes, man. You know what I'm saying? I have no doubt that they're epic episodes.
Yeah, I'm just like dreading. What is it? June 29th, 2 more days, and then we got another Ironheart, and like. Ugh.
Oh man, I almost wish that there was some way that I could just say, you know what, we're gonna cancel the rest of the Ironheart. You know what I mean? Because it's really bad. It's really bad, man.
Yeah, like I guess I'm happy they're doing 3 episodes.
Honestly, I don't know how people or why people are out there lying. Like some creators are out there lying, trying to pretend that Ironheart in some way is good. You know what I'm saying? I actually have seen a couple of especially African American creators, that want to like say in some way Ironheart is a success or it's positive.
I mean, I don't think it's the worst of the Disney Plus shows, but I don't need it. Like, we don't really need it. And
No.
I just I don't know why they did it. Like,
no,
I
don't.
mean,
I really don't at all understand why Marvel felt that they needed to make a black orientated urban type superhero TV show. You know what I'm saying? Like what that like honestly, like, you know, look, you can make a black orientated type TV show, you know, that still includes other races and is still entertaining. It's been done before lots of times, you know. You know, networks like UPN and shit like that back in the day, you know, had tons of those kind of shows. You know what I mean? You know, very popular. You know, but they were inclusive. Ironheart is not inclusive. It is very black.
Yeah. Well, my issue is, and I agree with the other reviewers, like, you don't care about Ironheart because she feels more like the villain, and like the Hood, who is the villain, feels more like the hero. And like, there's just this weird thing with they're trying to do with Ironheart that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like,
and of course there's people out there trying to inject race into the whole deal, you know, like always. You know what I mean? You know, if you go on Twitter X and look, I'll tell you right now, you'll find motherfuckers that are on that whole race tip with Ironheart, you know, and literally, you know, putting up posts. You know what I'm saying? You know, before the show came out and now that it's out, talking about, you know, oh, you only dislike, you hate Ironheart because it's black. She's black. You know,
my problem is, like, well, first off, my problem is not because she's black. She's just, my problem is the character is not interesting.
My problem is they put that drag queen in the show. Why the fuck would you put a goddamn full blown drag queen in a fucking in an MCU television show as an actual main secondary character in the show? Why would you do that? In no reality in our public world that we live in, do people go out in public as drag publicly? You know what I'm saying? And just walk around and participate in life and like join gangs and have jobs and shit. People who do drag do it in hiding, in private.
Yeah.
Drag is not a public thing. It's so stupid. Who the fuck would join a criminal gang with that motherfucker in it?
Yeah, and she's the hacker, because Cyber brought this up in the review. Like, she has those nails.
It's not even a she, it's a he.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
it's a he, she. It's a he, she.
He, she, he, she. And
why would you want a he, she character in your TV show?
I don't know. I mean, I get he's from, like, you know, he's from Chicago, but like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for like a hacker.
Being on RuPaul's Drag Race does not qualify you to be in fucking TV.
I know, it's weird. It always happens.
If you watch RuPaul's Drag Race all the time, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but you got problems, bro.
I don't know. I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
I don't get it, man. I have no fucking idea why anybody would think that's a good idea as a casting move. It's a commonsensical, immediate, fucking stupid thing to do immediately from jump.
Yeah.
Like, hey, when we start shooting scenes of this TV show, having this weird he-she fucking drag queen character in the middle of a scene is going to be fucking weird for everybody.
I mean, I don't know. For me, what the thing that bothers me was like just the nails and like how she was typing in the like whatever like computer. I was like, how the hell like one of the most fake typing I've seen in any of the streaming services.
There's a lot of fucking creators and videos on YouTube hating Ironheart for that character, man. If you go on YouTube and search it, you know, like why does Ironheart have a he/she character? That's what I put in there, you know. The videos just pop right up.
Oh my god, I hope the supernatural thing will be the best name of the show and like move on. It's like, it's so weird that this show is going to be the one that will introduce Mephisto. Like, that's weird.
I just don't understand why they would change the like reality of what a drag queen is or does in the show. You know, like in the world of Ironheart, drag queens only do drag in like drag clubs or in private. You know, in hiding. You know what I'm saying? It's not an open thing that you do publicly.
No.
This motherfucker just does drag publicly, openly.
I don't know.
Nobody does that.
No. I think that's the MCU at this moment. Oh my god. Yeah,
oh my god, man. Fucking stupid, bro.
Yeah, well, luckily, was it Tuesday? We're gonna get the final 3. Hopefully, I mean, maybe they will stick the landing. I don't know.
Nobody asked for Ironheart at all. Not one single MCU fan ever said, I want an Ironheart TV show, or I want Ironheart and Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It never happened.
No, they were so miscalculating. They thought she was like the most popular character, but in reality, she wasn't in the new, like, whatever she came at the time. It's like weird.
That whole period where they were so stuck on, female power characters or whatever, the MCU type deal, whatever, was just not good. Not good for the MCU,
No, the MCU.
Instead of just trying to, bring in good, solid characters from the comics, you know what I'm saying, and go with them. They purposely were trying to just, to have every single character be female.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and they were using less popular characters, not using the existing popular characters that people like Falcon or Winter Soldier or
they tried to force characters like Miss Marvel, for instance. You know what I'm saying? Which I love that show. But still, I've told you before, what the reactions were for other creators back then when I tried to get them to come on and do recaps. They were very against it. You know what I mean? The character's very disliked in the Marvel comic, community. You know what I'm saying? Miss Marvel comics never sold. They never did well. It's not a popular character.
No.
So Marvel, the MCU just decided they were just going to start forcing, characters that that came out in the early 2000s, late 90s, whatever, that literally never were popular at all as characters or sold comics, and it forced them into the MCU.
Yeah. Yep, they did. I don't know. It was just, it's really bad.
I mean, you got to take chances. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there wouldn't be an MCU if they didn't take chances. With the MCU, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But still, at the end of the day, there's a certain way you got to handle integrating, new characters into, a cinematic universe, and especially if they're ones that aren't popular in the comics at all, like Thor or Captain America or whatever,
Guardians. I mean, Guardians was the least popular, and they got them.
Oh yeah, I never knew anything about Guardians when I used to read comics because they were never there. They were not popular.
Yeah, same here. And then
the Guardians of the Galaxy were fringe, secondary, third string characters. When I used to read Marvel back in the 90s or whatever, they were would only pop up in guest spots in comics, kind of,
Yeah. And same here. Well, I didn't read it the first time. I knew the Guardians was an episode from the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That was the only time I knew that.
Honestly, the Guardians of the Galaxy was never really super popular in the comics to the point where there's a lot of comic book fans just like me who read Marvel for years and wouldn't even have known about them or seen them.
No. Yeah, you never expect that to be the next major film.
They've come in and out of Marvel Comics across the decades, you know what I'm saying? In and out. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they go away, then they bring them back,
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot with
lots of characters they've done that with them, yeah.
Yeah, that were not popular. Yeah,
Captain Marvel they killed off for a while, and they didn't have her in the comics for a couple of years, and they brought her back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that did happen.
She didn't work when they brought her out.
Yeah, and then Monica became the official Captain Marvel. Yeah, and she stayed on a little bit.
Unfortunately, I never read anything really with Photon in it. I never read Marvel at that time period.
Yeah, I mean, she's very new to me. I didn't know there was
Monica Rambeau Photon character did not exist when I used to read Marvel comics in the 90s, late 80s, whatever. She wasn't around, I don't think, then.
No, I think she left the Avengers at that point.
Was she created before the 90s?
No, she was created in the like the mid '80s.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
yeah, like let me bring Proton. Like,
I know she was never like a super popular character, but she was a big character. She did lead the Avengers for a while and all that shit.
yeah, Marika Rambeau. Yeah, she's because she's the first before Carol became like Captain Marvel. She was the first. To
Yeah, she was Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. In Marco Rambeau. So yeah. So she appeared in 1982. So she like debuted.
Oh, okay.
There. Yeah. Her Proton name was given in 1996 because she got a lot of names.
Oh, she said like 7 or 8 names.
Yeah, which is annoying. Like I think I prefer her to be Captain.
I always thought Photon was the best one. That's why I always say Photon.
Yeah, I like Proton. Yeah, that was the better name. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I never mind her. Like, I think I prefer her to be Captain Marvel because I felt like she was more interesting than Carol was. But yeah.
I mean, from what I understand, in the comics, she was actually a really powerful, interesting character. That could do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they really didn't deliver that. With her and the Marvels.
Yeah, because they were stuck with Carol and like and it's funny. She was the leader of the Avengers at that time. She replaced the Wasp as the leader, and like she was in major storylines like at the time of the 80s.
Wasp was another interesting character that at one point was going to be in the Avengers, in the original MCU Avengers, but they decided not to do it.
Yeah, I mean because they needed Ant-Man to be like established before they do that, but which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's true. You really can't have the Wasp without Ant-Man.
Yeah, exactly. So I understood why they did it, but it was kind of annoying afterwards when they did do it. It's kind of like they didn't do anything with them. Like first of all, they're the founding members of the Avengers, and
it's hard to do Wasp in the MCU, to be honest with you, if they would have tried, because you need to have like the Hank Pym Ant-Man character to have Wasp. To have original Avengers Wasp, you need Hank Pym version Ant-Man.
Yeah, no.
And obviously they didn't want to do that character really.
No, I mean for obvious reasons. If you read the storylines and all that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm okay with that. I was never a massive fan of that version of Ant-Man. Although he is a good version of Ant-Man.
Yeah, Hank Pym. Yeah, I always like Hank Pym as Ant-Man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a classic Avengers character. You know what I'm saying? He's in a lot of Avengers comics, man.
Yeah.
But no, the Wasp is a cool character. And it's just interesting, like tidbit that at one point, they actually wanted her in the original Avengers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, because a lot of people forget.
Because she is an original Avenger.
Yeah, well, and the leader, before Captain America came in, few in the issues before he came back from the ice. Yeah, she was like the leader of the Avengers.
My favorite version of the Avengers is the one where Cap leads the Avengers, though. That's the Avengers.
That's my Avengers series. Yeah, I was like the Avengers when it was a different team. Like it was with Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Division, Hawkeye. And
you're talking about the West Coast Avengers.
Is that the West Coast Avengers?
Yeah, that's the exact lineup of the West Coast Avengers. Vision, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, War Machine, Wonder Man.
Wonder Man. Yeah, a lot of people. I just want to remind people, I'm an Iron Man fan. They used the West Coast Avengers in the cartoon show I was growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't call him War Machine back then, but he was War Machine.
Yeah. Because he was Iron Man first, and then when Tony came back to be Iron Man, because he was doing the alcoholism. Back
in the day, in the Marvel Comics days, West Coast Avengers, he was just another Iron Man, basically.
Yeah, before he became into.
He was the West Coast Avengers version of Iron Man, with James Rhodes,
Yeah, I read those comics. They're pretty cool.
Oh, West Coast Avengers was great. You heard me talk about that before. I loved that comic. That was a great team.
Yeah, well,
they had Hercules, Cersei,
yeah, and then that's another thing about the Ironheart thing that's so annoying. This is not good to pump up the champions, right? Because you're trying to.
I really don't. Honestly, I'm already not super hyped for Young Avengers or Champions anyway. That concept.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Ironheart a part of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I unfortunately
She does not come off as like a team player kind of character to me.
no. I get like I don't know, like it's so annoying. Like you have another genius you could bring in, like Cassie is a genius. Like why you need two geniuses in the team? That doesn't make sense.
We don't,
And,
have
like,
to, we don't have to even have a genius.
that's true. Like I don't need a genius. Like I'm fine with having like American Travis, the Weekend, like the twins.
There's nothing wrong with having a Marvel universe where, like, you know, you just get your weapons and tech from somebody else. You just buy them, or, you know, whatever, you know what I mean, or trade for them or get them or whatever, you know. But you don't have an actual genius, you know, inventor type character, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like Rhodey because of that.
I mean, not every Marvel team has to have that sort of, you know, character. You know what I mean? You know, to make it work. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, like after the initial X-Men, we never got that. Like we never got like another Beast, like smart person in the X-Men team. It was just always Beast.
Beast was on the Avengers for a long time in the comics.
Yeah. Oh, that one I'm very excited for when we get to the X-Men.
He was a regular member of the Avengers at one point.
Yeah, 70s. The 70s.
No, 80s and 90s.
Oh,
I think. Yep.
Yeah. No, you're right, because he was still out with the X-Men.
A lot of different you know, characters went and joined, you know, or came to the Avengers for a while, you know, or did a stint, you know, and then went back to, like, you know, their other team or doing their solo thing, you know.
Yeah, that's true. No, that makes
sense.
Sense.
That's how the Avengers used to work in the comics. It was cool, you know. It was like an in and out, you know, rolling roster kind of team. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah, no. I totally forgot that. Yeah, he was still there in the Avengers.
Yeah, because you had the Reserve Avengers too, you know, and they would have them in the comics too, you know.
Yeah.
You had Spider-Man, you know, Fantastic Four. You know, you had the characters that were Reserve Avengers. You know, they were Avengers, but they were on the reserve team.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, that did happen. What else? Yeah, and you know, I don't know, like. Yeah.
But yeah, the West Coast Avengers was awesome. And honestly, like, you know, I still to this day, it'll never happen. But the whole concept and thought and idea or whatever of them just doing a West Coast Avengers film or something like that or whatever, you know, like a lot of fans have wanted for years. Still to this day, it would work. It would be a great concept.
Yeah, I know that next phase is like the Mutant Saga, which we know, but I kind of wish we will, like, I hope after this we can get the West Coast Avengers.
It's too late now. If they were going to do the West Coast Avengers, they should have done it during the Infinity Saga, you know, or like right after.
Yeah, right after, like this phase. Yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense to do it now.
Yeah, which is a shame because, like, I agree with you because, like, I think that the West Coast Avengers could have been a great film series, you know, to lead up the Secret Wars and all that. But
yeah, they could have planned it out and, you know, split the team up, you know, and set half of it, you know, to the West Coast. You know what I mean? You know, it made that work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Titans does that. Like, Teen Titans have like another branch over like another city. Like, I read that and that worked.
Well, the West Coast Avengers were a little bit more hip, you know, than the actual Avengers. You know, they lived in California or whatever. You know what I mean? They were on the West Coast. You know, they're a little bit more wild rebels. You know, like, you know, they had a certain attitude about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and you brought up something that, like, you know, because the thing that I liked about the West Coast was they had variety. Like, they had a very unique power set, and like they had like a very unique skill.
Oh, they had a lot of the West Coast Avengers had a lot of characters. Their roster was huge.
Was huge and, like, you know, very powerful too. You know, you think about it.
Oh yeah, it's a big heavy hitters.
Yeah. So.
I mean, Hercules was probably their strongest character, you know, and Hercules was really powerful and strong in the comics.
Yeah. Oh, and that's yeah, Hercules. Oh god, yeah. And then, like, you brought up Circe and Black Knight.
Circe, yeah, Circe.
Yeah, those are strong, and then of course Vision, Scarlet
Witch. That's what made Circe more of a mainstream character in Marvel Comics, was her being on the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah, I just know, like, the
Black Knight. The Black Knight became popular from being in the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah. My exposure to these characters was in the Iron Man show because they borrow like several of like the West Coast Avengers members. Like, that's where I knew Hawkeye before like his MCU debut.
Back then, the characters would actually have relationships with each other and stuff like that too. There was soap opera type stuff that would happen, you know.
Yeah, that's true, and that's where like a lot of the Scarlet Witch and Vision relationship developed. You know, like
I'm pretty sure the Black Knight was with Cersei in the comics back then too.
Yeah, it had to be, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Their relationship is well known in they've always been together. I think from back in the comics.
Yeah, it's so weird that the movie failed to like develop the.
They tried to reestablish that relationship in Eternals. You know.
Yeah. That's so weird. Oh my, yeah, you're right. They cannot do West Coast Avengers.
Look at the Black Knight. We've never got him. You know.
Yeah, like
we saw him in the Eternals. You know, and that was it.
Yeah, that's it. And same thing with Hercules and Thor: Love and Thunder. It's like we didn't get anything with him yet.
I'm whatever. Thor: Love and Thunder was so bad. I don't care about whatever Hercules, whatever that came out of that movie. The Black Knight is a really cool character in the comics. Yeah. You know, like
no, I agree.
You know, it seems stupid to me to not like actually have that character after you introduce him.
Yeah, I know. It's really frustrating. Like they didn't put like the special presentation on his character that could easily establish him as Black Knight. You know, it's just weird.
He's a very interesting character. Great, cool backstory. You know, cool powers. You know what I'm saying? Cool sword. You know.
Yeah.
Supernatural vibes. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And if Blade was like was a movie, you know, it would easy put Black Knight in that, you know.
Yeah, the Black Knight can fit into like any category, kind of. He's one of those characters that fits into any genre in Marvel. You know, you can stick him in the supernatural universe, you can put him in the Avengers, whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree. Oh man,
you know, just kind of, you know, they made I don't know, they made a lot of weird and bad and strange, bizarre decisions in Phase 4 and Phase 5 of the MCU, man.
Yeah, well, I like things in Phase 4, I have to say, but Phase 5 is really bad. It's the worst phase.
Yeah, Phase 5 is really bad. Yeah,
like had to be honest, because at least
Phase 4 had some good things.
Yeah, and at least there were themes about it. Like they addressed the aftermath of Endgame and like the blip. And like they were dealing with trauma and like grief in several projects. Like at least they were doing something. And then Phase 5 just like is so over the place. Like it's so bad.
There was still some Infinity Saga MCU quality there with some of the Phase 4 stuff, you know. But not Phase 5. Phase 5 was like this different direction where, you know, it was like the quality was gone.
It's just gone. Yeah, and like we also like dropped major storylines for like the Avengers, like Kane that was no longer like a thing. It's like so bad. It was so bad.
Oh yeah, I know. That was a big thing. That was a big blow. I remember when that happened, and we talked about it on the Monday night show.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't believe it's like we're done with Phase 5 after the show. It's just crazy.
I remember that title on that show and everything when we did it.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I don't know. It's just crazy. We had to do like a modem on Phase 5, like because it's just crazy. Like we had good things.
The MCU has gotten so bad at this point that it's not even worth it to have like ranking shows of their movies or it's just no point. You know what I'm saying? It's sad.
Yeah, there's like
all the energy and the buzz and the fun that was there with the MCU and making content about it. You know that you could make all these shows that were themed about Marvel. You know you could have a show about anything. Just talk about Marvel for 2 hours. You know, and that was your show. You know what I mean? You know, and it was fun, but not anymore. Yeah,
no, I agree.
That is gone.
Yeah, it was. Thank goodness I joined you guys. Like when it got really bad.
When you joined us, we were basically already at that point where we were, you know, diversifying away. You know what I mean? You know, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, from just covering the MCU. You know.
Yeah, same here. I started to like really stop doing that. Like just go back to my focus of other movies and all that. Like the focus of Marvel was just like it just got really bad. Like
yeah. Yeah, you were. You would have liked it, but you weren't around in the beginning. When I used to just do a lot of shows where they were just theme shows where we would just talk about preview shows for Phase 4. Back in the day. You know what I mean? Ranking shows. We used to do a lot of preview shows. For Phase 4, Phase 5, way back then. But no, we would just have shows. We would talk for 2-3 hours about MCU rumors, and previewing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whatever, previewing Thor: Love and Thunder, talking about the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer for 2 hours. That was the MCU. That was the Bleeding Edge. That's what we did. It was fun, but unfortunately, all good things have to end. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Oh man, I like the worst thing they ever put. I mean, at least there's things I like about She-Hulk, but man, Secret Invasion was really. I
don't know. I say that too about She-Hulk, but there's a lot of motherfuckers out there in the public and on the internet and on YouTube that swear that She-Hulk is the worst fucking thing ever in the MCU. They think it's the worst show ever.
I mean, I can.
That's a well established, reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That whole series was just this major fucking nosedive shit show for Marvel.
Yeah, it was very weak. I cannot really defend that.
It was bad, man.
Yeah, it was really bad. I mean, towards the end was really bad.
Oh yeah, it was really bad. It tanked really bad. It had some life in those first 3, 4, 5 episodes. It was watchable.
Yeah.
I was hanging in there with it. Tried to hang in there.
Yeah, I agree. I was hanging in there up to when we had the Wand-centric episodes, and then after that was where I didn't care.
There were 1 or 2 really bizarre, bad episodes in those first 5 or 6 that I didn't even know what the fuck was even going on, But I just rolled with it. You know what I mean? I just accepted it,
Yeah.
But then it got really bad.
Yeah. Oh god, it did. It did.
And it got political in the fandom. She-Hulk made political division happen for the first time in my life that I ever experienced in the actual Marvel fandom amongst the fans. There was infighting, amongst the fans over She-Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you liked She-Hulk, you were on the left or a Democrat. If you didn't like She-Hulk, you must be a racist Republican, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that was really toxic. Thing is, I didn't experience anything like that in my channels, but yeah, it was pretty bad afterwards.
Well, that just tells you, at the end of the day, how real the overall motive of Disney and Marvel, that people talk about is really a tangible thing when it comes to their shows and movies, with and messaging. Try to push certain messages culturally and politically and whatnot with the with the movies, with the shows, right? She-Hulk was one of those kind of shows. There was overtly pushed political feminist messaging and shit and whatnot, and ideology being pushed in the show.
I don't know. It was just so bad. They were just too preachy, and you should have never done that.
They made the show in a way where there were fans that felt that it was acceptable to come at other fans like me and say, "Fuck you! You just don't get She-Hulk because it wasn't made for you." Yeah, I had somebody say that to me on TikTok one time.
Really?
You just don't get She-Hulk because it wasn't made for you. What does that tell you? That means there's people out there in the audience that actually watch She-Hulk, right? And get something different from it than we do. You know what I'm saying? See it differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. It's really frustrating because you had to make a project that is really for everyone. And unfortunately, I agree with Jeff. I mean,
that's what that person was trying to say to me, was that the show was basically for LGBT plus Q type folks. You know what I'm saying? And that's who it was for. That's what he was trying to say to me.
Oh my God. Oh dear.
That's always what it is when somebody says it wasn't made for you, or it's not for you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, it was not made for me. I will completely say, look, it was not for me. I'll say it was okay, but you don't have to attack me on that. That's just so bad.
If I was Disney or Marvel and I knew that there were actually fans that were getting that kind of reaction off of She-Hulk, you know what I'm saying? I would think that's very bad and negative, you know?
Yeah, well, and they allow that. That's the unfortunate part.
You should never create like a TV series, you know, with an agenda to actually, you know, try to, you know, favor a certain, you know, vibe like the LGBT plus, you know, type, you know, culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, you know, if Kevin Feige was not stretched thin, you know, he would never allow the stuff to happen to She-Hulk.
When you go in that direction, you're fucked. Like once you cross that line, you upset. You know, like that's it. You're stuck with it.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, yeah. Well, and unfortunately, none of these products were good. Like that's the other thing I had to figure out.
All She-Hulk was a TV show about demasculating men, episode after episode. Every male character in the show was evil, twisted, controlling, a secret villain. You know what I'm saying? A misogynist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, misogynist.
You know? Seriously, every single fucking male character was horrible. Was an evil piece of shit.
Yeah. No, I agree. Pretty bad.
There was one big man beat up man fest episode after episode, except for Daredevil.
Yeah.
and then even Daredevil, they made him do the walk of shame at the end.
Yeah, I didn't mind that.
That was embarrassing for Daredevil.
Oh,
the walk of shame. Why would Daredevil ever do the walk of shame?
That's true. He should do like the walk of shame up the roof, not like in the bottom. I have to say, but yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't a good look for him, man. You know.
Yeah, I know. It was a weird episode to introduce him that way in MCU, but you know, we got it. It
really kind of countered his image from like the Netflix Daredevil to have him like, you know, like that.
Well, I mean, at the time we didn't know it was going to be canonical. That's the thing, because I think at the time we didn't know it was going to be a reboot.
Just the whole idea or concept that it was a good idea to use She-Hulk as the vehicle to bring Daredevil into the MCU was fucking bonkers. What a bad fit. What a bad spot to put him in.
Yeah. Like, I agree. I don't think his episode was really good, but I like his relation with Jennifer. Like, that's the thing. Like, there was chemistry with it. It was just like
they're good actors. Charlie Cox is a good actor. He's very good. You know, Daredevil's a very charismatic character, and he's a good actor. You know, same thing with what's her name that played She-Hulk. She-Hulk sucks, but she's a good actor.
Yeah, Tatiana Maslany. She's great.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a good actress. You know, of course they had chemistry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hopefully David can fix She-Hulk, because I do like the character She-Hulk. I mean, she's really great when she's, you know, with the Hulk and the Avengers and Fantastic Four, especially. And you know, let's get into trailers reaction, sir.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You know, because we're talking about the phases. You know, after I heard Fantastic Four is going to be the first phase for Phase 6, so I'm very excited to see what we're going to do with this show. Movie.
What is it? Fantastic Four is the first phase?
Yeah, for Phase 6 in July 25th, Friday of 2025. So crazy.
I'll tell you what's crazy. Is if we went back and watched some of our MCU Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6 preview shows way back in the day. You know, like 3 years ago. You know, or whatever. Based off of all the stuff we would get from San Diego Comic-Con and all that, you know, what we talked about then, what our thoughts were, our ideas, how we thought things were going to go with certain things or whatever, compared to what actually has happened in the MCU.
Yeah,
it'd be laughable and funny to hear everything that we were talking about.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was crazy. I mean, it's crazy how this project became very slow and already being made to this point of Phase 6. So let me show you this new trailer. It showed a couple, you know, new things. But actually, we see a lot more with Galactus. So I'm very excited to see it. So let me do that cancellation, and here we go.
Damn.
Famous around the world, please welcome the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Human Torch,
I love you, Johnny!
and The Thing.
Hey, what time is it? Say the thing.
That's not really something I say.
It's clobbering time.
That's just in the cartoon. Never late for Sunday dinner. Let's eat.
Hey, what time is it?
It's dinner time. Get inside.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end.
Are we safe?
I don't know.
You don't want to just crush him?
I like that. The four of us will face the danger. We will protect you.
Family. It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself. We'll face it together. As a family.
Alright, that's the third final trailer of Fantastic Four. Man, they're really pushing the marketing of this movie really fast.
Man, when you stay up all night, you really look like shit the next day. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
you look like shit
been,
afterwards. You know? Yeah.
I mean, I've been busy this whole well, like yesterday now.
There's just a certain like disheveled like look you end up with like after you stay up all night the next day. You know?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So that's the trailer. I'm really excited for this movie. I mean, it looks good. I mean, better than some of the other projects we have for Phase 5. Really.
I really hope it's not going to have some kind of fucking like Cyber with Love type, the Cyber type of, like childlike, fucking, humor type, type vibe. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't want that for that vibe, like, overly done in the Fantastic Four. You know what I'm saying? That scares me a little bit, Okay. That bad MCU humor that we've dealt with before in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Ant-Man Quantumania, for instance. That shit could ruin a movie. I mean, it sucks the entertainment right out of a film. And I'm seeing a lot of lighthearted, sort of humorous tone, to these trailers. You know what I'm saying? It's set in the 60s time period, you know what I'm saying? That's already gonna add a element of, less dark, less adult type tone for the film for people,
Yeah.
It's gonna have a more innocent tone to it,
Yeah. I mean, it has a little bit of the Incredibles or, the Tomorrowland kind of vibes to it, which I'm fine with. I mean, this is what Fantastic Four is. They're not Batman. That was my problem with the other Fantastic Four movies.
They're not Batman, but they're still legitimate, Marvel comic characters that in their comics do and have adult theme, just like all the other Marvel comics stories. You know what I'm saying? Where they do dangerous shit. And like honestly, they're not stupid characters. They're not. They're not about a ton of silly, goofy fucking humor all the time. Like that's not the Fantastic Four, the comics.
No. And at least with Galactus, they're taking that serious. So like at least we've seen the the seriousness of Galactus coming to the Earth stuff. So the whole concept of actually putting Galactus in anything is fucking could be great. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about the humor. The humor hasn't been like the worrying thing for me. I think
I worry about it. I worry about it because if it's overly done and it's not done right, if it, and it is silly, lighthearted, and overdone like that or whatever, and that's the stick of the film, that's the tone. You know what I'm saying? Of all the dialogue, between the family members or whatever, for me as an MCU fan, and what I like, you know what I'm saying? You might enjoy it, that kind of vibe with Fantastic Four, but for me, that's a buzzkill.
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, it was really bad in Ant-Man 3. It was really bad in the Marvels. Yeah, I know what you're coming from.
It never helps an MCU character or MCU film or TV show to make the characters less adult and make them more childish and more, kiddish and all that. It does not help.
Yeah, I don't see that. I think they're treating each of those characters like what they are from the comic books, like at least adults. So I think that's the one thing I'm not too concerned. I think they understand the characters' humors than the other projects, I have to say, with these trailers that we've been reviewing. So I understand where you're coming from. I'm worried too with the humor, but so far the trailers haven't been this very huge like humor like trailers. So like it's been more like serious.
And I get it is a set piece, time, piece or whatever, with the film. I get that. So I can handle and obviously you have to expect there to be a little bit of a of a 60s 70s vibe to the dialogue and the way people talk and all that less less 90s graphic swearing kind of talking or whatever more 50s 60s sitcom
yes, similar to WandaVision. I mean, of course, Max Scheckman's directing it, so like, at least I like the humor in WandaVision. So I mean, if he's able to use that kind of humor from that, I'd be happy because I enjoy the humor from WandaVision at that point. So
I don't know. WandaVision is a TV show, and it's so an independent, its own kind of thing, kind of deal,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's really hard to connect it, or like, or model anything off of it, really, at all, anything else, I mean,
yeah,
it's a very contained thing, or concept, WandaVision,
Yeah, it's very self-contained. Yeah, it doesn't have too much like MCU connections, just like references from previous Wanda like stuff.
Just the whole way they made the show, how unique it was, the reason that it got so much acclaim and it won so many Emmys and all that, the time changes, the old time, the black and white television screen, look to it and all that, stuff they did, what I mean, was so unique,
Yeah,
it's something that can only be done in one show, one time. You know what I mean? You can't copy it or
No. And that's the one thing I was appreciating with Africa. Like at least they didn't try to copy what the Vision did. So
I'm sorry, sir, but I disagree with you. I think Agatha was garbage. I honestly to this day I don't understand how or what any of you guys got out of it that you found positive. I thought it was all terrible.
Hey, I understand. For me, I mean, at least like for me, it was a good aesthetic TV show that paid off a lot of storylines that they had that they did set up. At least they pay off that.
I think they only gave Catherine Hahn a nomination for an Emmy just because it was a Disney MCU Marvel production series. You know what I'm saying? That was Disney Plus. That was had name brand recognition.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, she was still great as Africa. I thought she was great, like at least fun, and I like the kid that played Tommy. Like I know
I loved Catherine Hahn in WandaVision. What they did with her character at Agatha, I did not like or care for.
I can understand. I know you didn't like the relationship between her and Death.
I didn't like the way they handled any of it. The way that they handled the witch stuff.
That's true. So like that's where
the trials were stupid. You know what I'm saying? They were really dumb.
I kind of agree with you with the trials. I was very disappointed with the trials, but the other stuff I didn't mind. I mean, first off, this character is not a like she's a supporting character, so the fact they made a show about her was kind of crazy.
I'm just blown away that there actually are people, because I've bumped into them before on X Twitter of all places. What a shock that actually have fought with me before, because there are people out there that believe it or not, Audrey's, although you liked it, they think it's like the best thing that ever happened. They think Agatha was literally like the prize of like television shows.
I mean,
because it was for them. You know what I'm saying? It fit that LGBTQ plus niche for them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
With all its gay tones and bi tones and singing and dancing and all that kind of shit or whatever. It was for them. They felt like
That's true. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good the show is or the movie is or what the quality's like. You know what I'm saying? All that matters is it has those vibes. That that deal. As long as it's there, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they handled those things better than She-Hulk. That was my thing. And then two, I
don't know who Agatha was made for. Like when they made it, I don't know who it was for.
Oh yeah. That part I kind of agreed. Like I just wish we had more focus on her and Tommy than the rest of the characters, because we were supposed
to get some sort of heading in the direction of a supernatural MCU show finally, and that didn't happen.
We did, but not in the way I don't think we were expecting. I mean, it was a very much witchcraft show. I mean, I seen so many witchcraft shows. That's the thing. I wasn't like too bothered by it. Like I seen the Richard Charm. Yeah. And Sabrina stuff.
The tone of WandaVision was very serious and very adult for like an MCU Marvel project. You know what I'm saying? It was very, very dark, deep, and very real and humanistic. And dealt with a lot of big, major human historical elements and and stories and stuff like that. It was a really serious type deal. You know what I'm saying? To take Catherine Hahn from that and then put her in fucking this silly ass goofy Agatha show. I mean, it was stupid.
I know. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's not like a top tier Disney Plus show at all. I just think it was better than the other offerings that we got for Phase 5.
It certainly was not made for your average typical MCU fan and what they like and their tastes or whatever. It was not made for them.
Well, yeah, just like WandaVision, it wasn't really a superhero show. That's the thing.
I'm telling you that literally Agatha was made the way from my take of watching it. You watched it. I think it was mostly made for gay people and lesbian people and LGBT plus type folks. That's who it was for. It wasn't made for average, typical MCU fans.
No, and I mean that was. I kind of expect that because that was part of the genre it was in. That's the unfortunate part. It's that is part of the witch stuff if you've seen those things. So
when you go in the supernatural direction, you're going in a different direction than your standard usual MCU stuff. We all know that it's a different universe. You know what I mean? But it's how you handle it. How you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that.
No, it's okay. Look, I mean, hey. It's not the end of the world. I'm not, I'll be okay that because that Agatha wasn't all that great. It didn't let me down all that much.
Yeah, no. I liked it. I mean, it's not my favorite of the Disney Plus shows. It was better than the other ones we got. That's the thing. For me, it was I appreciate the craftsmanship. That's that I care about. The performances were good. The story they could have done better with the story, but whatever, they did what they did. And I have my nitpicks and problems with the show that I just wish they didn't do.
Well, at the end of the day, we've discussed it amongst ourselves many times before in the past over the years. We are different people with different opinions and likes and dislikes. We all have certain things that we look for in film and in television, or whatever, and and I, it's and we've talked about it. I do tend to, be attracted to the more darker, adult-orientated, more mature, graphic, R-rated,
content.
TVMA, style type TV, and type movies. That is my general, favorite kind of entertainment is that style, So at that point, I just don't have the same tolerance level when it comes to certain, shows or films that have certain themes that are a little bit more, PG-13 ish,
Yeah.
or lighthearted, you know what I'm saying? With their humor, and the tone, or whatever,
Yeah, no, I agree.
Some people really like that, Cyber loves that kind of shit. That's his favorite. Yeah,
true. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. If it's good, if it's not good, then I'm done. I'm fine with it, but it has to be good and tell a good story. That's the thing with me. I'm like, if you do,
well, that's the thing. Some of the movies those movies that have that go in that direction or that tone are just so bad. They're so stupid. Like overall, it's horrible.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's plenty bad with those types.
It never works. It's all bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I agree with you. It's really bad in that. Okay. You want to plug out?
Yeah, sir. 2.5 hours, sir.
Yeah. I think this was very fun.
You caught me in a very talkative mode tonight, sir.
Yeah, sure. Oh, wait, hold on. We got one more trailer. Let's do this.
What trailer? I don't need to see a video game trailer.
Yeah, I think you will like it. I mean, are you a video game person?
No, I haven't bought a new video game in a long time, sir. And when I do play and buy video games, they're only sports games. I don't play any other type.
Really, sports game? Okay.
They're the only ones I own. Yep. I buy. I own and have some, Halo, Red Dead Redemption style type games or whatever, but I stopped playing them years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I lost my desire to play RPG, those style of games.
Yeah.
And I don't play video games very much in general. Even my sports ones, I don't play that much.
Yeah. Well, anyway, okay.
So I would not be that interested, sir, of a video game trailer.
All right. Well, let's skip that and let's do the plugs right now. So, everyone, you see here, me and Jeff are pretty much done with Walking Dead season 2. So you can check out.
We are done with Dead City season 2. It's over.
Yeah, it's over. It's done. It's in the books. So that's our, live stream stuff of the Walking Dead recaps. Please check those out. You just saw the Ironheart recap that we did last Wednesday. Next Wednesday, right? Next Wednesday, July 2nd, is going to be our final recap of the show. Thank goodness. So we're going to review 4 to 6, which is awesome. Tomorrow, we have
not do anything. We're off on Mondays for right now after Dead City.
Okay, awesome. So we're off for Mondays. Now Fridays we still have Endor. So next Friday we missed last Friday. Next Friday we're gonna do a double feature for Endor. So we're reviewing episode 10 and 11. We will have amazing guests and Cyber as well. Of course, Cyber had his birthday last Friday, so hope he had a good one. So we'll check how you enjoyed it. But yeah, so that's where we're at right now. So I want to thank Jeff for joining me tonight. It was a blast talking Unforgiven and Fantastic Four and Marvel stuff. And of course, this was me, Andreas Pop Culture Guy. Please check out my content and all that. And we're gonna get more live stream views. Jeff, I got my first live stream review for July. We're gonna do Draws, the greatest shark movie of all time. I think that would be good. But yeah.
Okay, sir. Whatever you say.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you like Draws. It's a great horror movie.
I'm not super passionate for classic films, or whatever, but it is Jaws, so
yeah. So let's do that. I think that's good because at least that has horror and has bloody, guts out. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Peace out, folks.
Peace out.